Hello everybody, this is David with the F&B Railroad giving you another video. This video will be number 40. In this video I haven't done much to the layout. I've been working a lot of overtime lately and that takes away from the hobby. So I will show you what I have done, which isn't much. And I think I'll give you a runaround of the layout, what condition the layout's in, and how the layout is laid out. So without talking any further and boring you off your seats, let's get into this. So I wanted to show you what the layout looks like compared to what it used to look like a couple of years ago when I started adding on, but this is what it looks like right now. This thing is a disaster. I need to go through and do a whole heck of a lot of cleaning before I can even start to show you what's going on with the layout and what condition the layout's in and what I plan on doing in the future and so forth and so on. But yeah, the layout needs a good cleaning. It needs to be cleaned up. Need to put some things away. I mean, this half of the layout isn't bad because it's 90% complete, give or take. I mean, there's things I've done, like the snow around the house for the Christmas time. But all in all, this is pretty much in good condition, considering. It's just the part of where I've been adding on, and we all do it. We bring out our stuff, we set it on the layout on a clear spot, and we just work away at what we got to do. So let me clean this all up, get the trains running, and we can go around the layout and see how things are. So here's a quick overview of the layout. This corner is the mine that I've been talking about, the coal mine. And as we make the right-hand turn, we come to the logging area, make another right-hand turn, Comes out to Drew's Furniture, and then we get into the old part of the layout, which is modeled after John Allen's first layout idea. Okay, let me start here. And this right here, you can see I've got some trains parked. We got a coal train sitting on one track, and that's the main line right there. And then we have a receiving departure track and another receiving departure track. And this switch here also leads into my yard, which has this track back here. There's 4 tracks in the yard. So this one back here I'm using for my cabooses and maintenance away. And then I have 1, 2, 3 tracks for switching. And that runs all the way down up against the mountain. You can see I'm going to have a retaining wall there where they cleared it out to make it as long as they could. And then if you follow it down right here, we can switch off, and this runs down, and I have 2 tailing tracks for the yard. Now the other thing that's off of this switch is going to be the switch right here. It's going to run a track out and end right there, and this is going to be the track for the lumber mill. So this is where my logging cars will come in, and you'll see a bunch of piles of logs and whatnot, and you might see pieces of a building, but we're going to say that the building is off layout at that point. And on our main line, you can see I have a foundation right here. This is going to be a depot. So that's going to be on the main line, and then the rest of this area I have yet to figure out. I sort of have lines drawn in here, parking lot, and then come across the road and over here, and then it splits, and this runs out across this way, and then the rest of it runs into the city, or through the city. Okay, we're going to follow this train around the layout, stopping at different points to discuss different things. Through a tunnel here, a very short tunnel. Come out over here. Now right here is the second half of my gorge layout area. And I haven't done this, so I got to build a few bridges yet to do it, and do a lot of landscaping around the area. As you can see, not much has been done here. Now, over here, I've done this, you've seen videos on this gorge, these bridges, those towers to support the bridges in the back, and then down in the ravine is a smashed up car. But this main line here, actually what we are sitting on is a runaround that leads into the yard. The main line is off of this switch. So this is the main line inside the tunnel. You got to come out, cross the switch, and hit this secondary track back here. So that's the main line actually. So we were sitting on a runaround, and that runs into there. Now this second line right here, that leads down into Drew's Furniture. So let's move onward. So we'll go into the tunnel there. We'll come out the tunnel here. And we'll cross this bridge, going across the river. And I'll stop the train right here. Now this is Drew's Furniture. This is 90% done, or I should actually say 80% done. I'm sure there's more details I'm going to add. We got the old water wheel, an older building, and as you can see, there's that tunnel portal back there. Come across the bridge, and we got a boxcar sitting on the line, waiting to be picked up. People are working, place is busy. And that's the edge of the add-on. Now we'll be going into the older part of the layout. Right here we're crossing onto the older part of the layout. Now this older part of the layout was modeled after a John Allen and his first gory and defeated layout drawing that he had. And that was the one with the turntable in the center there, just like this one has been done. So now I'm going to stop the train right here by the turntable. And we'll talk about the turntable. Turntable was put in. You can see we have a roundhouse and we have another building, and then we have a fuel tank and a house, and off the side of the roundhouse is a loading dock. So this roundhouse had 3 bays. It's still got 3 bays. 2 bays are full length, haven't been touched, so that's where we can store some locos if we want. The 3rd bay, which is the one all the way there to the right, or the top of the screen, has been cut in half and has a loading dock on the inside, so we can bring box cars and flat cars and stuff in to the loading dock, load them off, and they store them inside the building for whatever use they need. And some of it's probably equipment and parts and whatnot for this building here, because this is a car repair shop, so we can bring our cars in, run them in there, and get them repaired. The other thing that happens here is we can bring in a fuel car and fill up that tank when necessary, and this is where our locos can be fueled then. So this area of the turntable area, I should say, is used as a switching operation, and the cars get dropped on a siding or a runaround on the layout that I'll show you, and then the switcher can come out, pick them up, bring them in, and put them into where they got to go, and then take the empties out, put them on the runaround, and then the train can pick them up later. So now we'll run the engine a little bit further. We go into this tunnel. This is a long tunnel. And as it comes across that bridge and around the corner, we'll be coming up to a switch. So at this switch, you have to decide whether you're going to continue on to the rest of the layout or whether you're going to make a loop around. And I'll show you what I mean by a loop around. So we're going to take the track to the left. which is going to run us over one of these bridges, and then we're going to start going downhill. And into Tunnel Portal there, which is a long tunnel again as well. And I have access to those tunnels from the back of the layout. So this is where the train exits the tunnel, come across to a switch. This switch here is the small runaround that I was talking about, where they could drop cars and whatnot. And now we're just going to run over under those bridges we just went over and back around the roundhouse and back through the tunnel and back up to the switch where we made our decision. So, train's coming back out. We're going to come back to that switch. This time we're going to stay to the right, over the pair of bridges. Now we're climbing upwards some more. Gonna go around the back, past that rock outcropping, go behind some trees. Nice view block there. You don't see the train, you kind of see it poking out. Gonna run over that bridge there, the viaduct arch bridge, and we're gonna come out over here, and I'm gonna stop right here. So now this train is on one track and there's two tracks. So this is a passing siding or a very long runaround. And the switch that's right in front of the train is the switch that leads down into the logging area. So there's our train, a couple of logging cars, you got all the logging going on back here. That's 90% done. And then if we follow those tracks over, we got one track back there. That's where they park the switcher when they're not using it. And then the track runs behind my view blocks that I made just recently. And we'll take this one out. And the tracks come across to here for the coal mine, which I've been working on. And then there's another switch that switches for a pair of tracks that go underneath the building there to the other side inside that box canyon. And what I have been working on the layout has been this little deck area right here. I got to run stairs down to the ground there, and I built some stairs and a walkway to cross over into this area. This area is going to be like an outdoor eating area where the guys can, you know, go sit at the picnic table, eat. There'll be a tree in there, some grass. That's what I've been working on this area here. Like I said, it hasn't been much, but I've been doing what I can when I have the time. So let me put this back in place. There, my view block is back in place. I'll come back out and we'll pick up the train. Now the train's going to run through the switch, over the bridges at the canyon, under my arch bridge that came with the view block, and into a tunnel portal. Now, the tunnel portal right next to it, that track leads back down to the lower tracks, and that is a reversing loop. And on the other side, you'll see where it hooks in to the main line where the loco comes out. So this is where the loco is going to come out, and you can see right there's the switch for the reversing loop. And then we got some switches. Okay, so this switch right here runs to a reversing loop, which runs around, hooks into the main there, and of course the main goes around the back and comes through these bunch of switches and shows up to the train here. So that's this switch. The next switch and the next switch up, they create a runaround for the city area. So this one runs in here to a switch and then runs back out to your main line. So that's the runaround. So now we got these two tracks. Where am I? These two tracks right here that are going to be a runaround. We hit this switch here, and this switch, this whole area becomes a switching puzzle. So we got this switch here, which runs off to another switch, which will have a track to feed these silos, and then off of that switch as well we can run down and we can put boxcars here, and this is going to be a plastic plant right here. Now this track in the middle of the two tracks runs up through a switch and in through here, and that's part of the runaround. So this switch is the runaround, and I came in and I added this switch here. No, that's the part of the runaround switch. So this track here is part of the runaround, this is the runaround. But if you go beyond that, I added this switch here. This switch here allows me to go back onto this track here. Now this track here, this building is probably going to be a tractor trailer service area, so we'll be fixing tractor trailers and whatnot. The tractors, I don't know about the trailers, but the tractors for sure. And then off of that switch, there's another switch that allows me to come down to this area here. So this is going to be a team track with a warehouse right here, so people get their stuff brought in, get unloaded, stored, they come and pick it up with their truck or whatever it is, and this is what this area is going to be here. So the puzzle is kind of hard to really see, but we got the track over there and that track there, so where that covered hopper is and where that blue box car is going to be for one plastics plant. Then we got the track in the middle that allows like a tail for the switching operations. And then we have the team track that comes in. And you can see all the switches and then all of that. And now if we get back to the train, we'll go through the switches, and then we come up to this switch here. This switch here leads up behind and right on up to the power plant. And more than likely we're going to be backing trains up through there. So we'll have to make sure we come in the right direction in order to bring trains to the power plant. And then we come to this area here. Now if we go back towards the back of the train, there was one switch that came off, and that switch runs into a switch that feeds my intermodal So I'll have 2 tracks to unload the tractor trailers right here in the yard and load them. And that's got a little office. That's all done. Got a little scale behind it. And that's another part of the switching puzzle. And now the train will come around. I made a mock-up of the road to go over the tracks. So the train will go under the road. And then right here at that switch, that's a track that will lead off. And what I'm thinking of making is a cassette to put up against the track to be my staging area, so I can stage trains and bring them onto the layout. And then as we come around, we go past the reversing loop and we come back into the yard. Now, the track I'm on is a arrival departure track, or it could also be a runaround if there is a train sitting on the main. So that's the whole layout. You can see the whole yard area, and everything from the mountain to the left is undone, not finished, nowhere near finished. We're talking just home salt. But I do have the backdrop up. I gotta paint clouds on it. That goes all the way up. But once you hit basically everything from the coal mine to the left, because that's a corner there, is unfinished. And the other thing I have is I have this Walthers kit in the corner there, and that's going to get put up in that corner. And I'm hoping the backdrop will be a city scene or a small country town scene area to either side of that, actually. So to the left of that and to the right of that is what I'm going to do with the backdrop. And somewhere in that area there, maybe even a little bit further, maybe somewhere around the seam in the backdrop there, is where the city scene, country, woods, whatnot, is going to transfer over, and then it'll be all trees and whatnot from that point on. So this is the layout as it stands right now. And I thought I'd just give you guys an update as to what it looks like and how I'm planning on doing things on the layout, what things will be, where things will be, and so forth and so on. Alright, so that's the end of the video. I'm glad you stuck around to see to the end. You can see how messy it was and how I had to clean up. And then I showed you a runaround of the layout. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. But yeah, that's a little layout I have, and that's what I keep working on. And as you can see, I still got plenty of work to do. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate everybody who watches. I like the thumbs up. I love the comments. I think they're great. Even the bad ones are good. But what can I say but keep on modeling.